guys, this is Elizabeth Quam from Getty Grove. Yes, there's lots of unfinished work here at my house. Here's the under the stairs. All of our trim work is not done and completed. And upstairs, the kids, it's not the safest thing. We've got these boards up there that they can crawl up, but we actually have rails that are railings that will go vertical instead of horizontal, and that will be more safe for the kids. Oh, what else do we have left undone? Well, the kitchen is totally undone back there, and then I'd like to go for a lighter look, and I don't know if I could transform my furniture just with pillows and stuff to make it kind of lighter in here, but eventually I'd like to get a different table so that I don't have a dark table. Just a different style, just change it up a bit. You kind of get worn out of same old. So I wanted to show you guys today I want to show you guys today my eucalyptus plant. So if you guys remember me getting it ordered, and I was like, oh, it's got a fungal issue. And although it may have had a fungal issue, I think some of the fall leaves just kind of get a little that way sometimes. And I want to show it to you right here. It's not much bigger. Here we go. It's right here, and so it grew. This is the new growth right here. You can tell how much new growth. Here's the hardwood, and then there's the new growth. And this I'll bring inside, although this is the coldest, hardiest. It's called Big O eucalyptus plant. It's the most cold hardy. But I don't want to test it out in this specific area to see how cold hardy it would be. What you can do is you can plant them in the ground in this zone 5, and because they're such a fast growing tree, they get a lot of their nutrients, and then they're able to basically die back to the ground, and they're able to die back to the ground and regrow, just kind of like your annoying mulberry trees. Sometimes you get those and they're just like, oh my goodness, this thing is not dying. You really got to get the root out. So that is the concept for that to experiment with at some point, but I have other ones that I'm going to experiment in that way, which makes me nervous. Let me show you the other eucalyptus that I have. I started them from seed. I started them a little late from seed. It was probably about frost time, the last frost date, when I started these eucalyptus, and they have not been supported well, I'd say, with the soil, because this soil that I put them in is not amended. So it's in all of the other soil that I've said, oh, it's like everything's pipsqueaky. So here is the growth on them, which is much more than that new growth on that plant. And I don't know if it's just, first year growth that just is vigorous or what, or maybe my plant in the pot lacked some nutrients and fertilizer, but I had given it potash and nitrogen at times. But so these little guys, I don't know if I should cut them off first to the ground, and then I'm going to lay some hay over the ground so that I can get extra special protection here. Also, they are on the south side of my building. I need to weed some of that foxtail out. They're on the south side of our building, and here, I'll pan out a little bit. So they're on the south side of our building here, and they're facing south. So they have a little microclimate to be able to enjoy right there too. So I am hoping for the best for them right there. I don't know if I'll put like maybe even a container over it and maybe even come out and water it sometime. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to set up this location, or if I buy straw and loosely cover it, or I really love pine needle shavings. I might just stack pine needle shavings up high on it, but cut them down. I think I am going to cut them down to the bottom. I have my fall mums that are starting to bloom. Get out of that water, Jace. Yucky. Yucky, yucky. Stay out of that water. I have my fall mums that are starting to bloom. These are a little bit more cold hardy, and so I'm hoping that they come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come back because of the soil right here. It's I did amend it with some soil that I bought from Walmart, and I put some horse manure in it too, but it's just kind of all surrounding it is kind of like clayey soil, and it's even more, I feel like, clay because we brought in soil for the foundation of our shells. JC, now he's throwing rocks in the water. I know, Kalina, you love loves, don't you? You love loves. You are such a silly dog. You are a wonderful dog. Jace, okay, all done. So eucalyptus is rather quite awesome of a plant. It's actually considered, I bought one book and it's actually considered the tree of life. I didn't know that. But what's strange is so my weird story about eucalyptus for myself was kind of a God thing. I know that it helped Nayeli when she was suffering through what they had said was leukodystrophy, and I still believe it's leukodystrophy because it showed up on the MRI as leukodystrophy. 30 to 40% of leukodystrophies are of unknown cause, and when I took out gluten from her diet, she started healing. And there are other factors in there that I supported her health with, in addition to iodine and boron and the fat-soluble vitamins. All of those things help fight fungal infections in the body. I didn't know until after she had healed quite a bit, but still was suffering with some stuff, that it was mold toxicity that was the root cause. Aspergillus in particular, and Aspergillus loves the brain. And you're like, well, Aspergillus is everywhere. Well, let's say, a lot of people can't identify Aspergillus. And Aspergillus can look like a dust on some woodwork in your basement. And you go and you dust it, and you come back to it, and you're like, there's like a dust. So what was happening in our basement of our old house was the sump pump, it never flooded in our basement, but the sump pump wasn't working enough, or there was water accumulating, didn't flood, but there was water accumulating to a point where it was saturating the pad, and it was only sporadically working. So it saturated the pad enough to create, the cement pad, enough to create humidity in the basement. And Aspergillus only needs like 49% humidity, and most basements are that humid anyway to grow. If your basement smells musty, it's not good. That's why when we built our house, we didn't have a basement. Our basement didn't really smell very musty, but there was Aspergillus growing on some woodwork and some cabinetry down there. Also, there once was a roof leak in our home, and even though we got the roof fixed, there was a spot of mold on our ceiling that we bleached. Don't bleach a mold spot. We bleached it because that's what a property manager said that he does when he finds a mold spot. Well, you can bleach it, but it actually feeds the mold. Not only are you giving it moisture, but you are killing the other microbes around the area. In order for it to take over that area, because it doesn't kill it, you have to take out, you need a remediator to take out that area. Now, I want to get back to eucalyptus because that's specifically what we're talking about. Eucalyptus is antifungal, but it also helps reduce the amount of toxins that a fungus can create. So it is also so it's preventative. If you have eucalyptus in your environment, or if you're getting eucalyptus and various, it's not just eucalyptus, it's various plants. A lot of plants are antifungal, anti-cancer, all this stuff. So eucalyptus in particular came to my mind because the God thing about it, weird God thing, was I had taken her to the hospital. They had done a second MRI with contrast. They called me while I was on my way home, told me to come back. And then I had bought eucalyptus essential oil the day before. I had never bought it before, but I remembered that I liked the smell of eucalyptus when I worked in a spa in Las Vegas. So I decided to buy it, and I put it on her for the first time right before we went into the office. So we went into the office, and we were in a holding area like a doctor's office, but before the doctor would come in. So the nurse did her assessment, but I had to wait for the doctor, the neurologist. And during that time, I flipped on my phone to try to see if I could find something to entertain her, because she's a little 3-year-old running around the office and pulling things off shelves and trying to open drawers and everything. So in order to entertain her, I was like, I'll look up some wildcrats. And usually on a wildcrat, you see the picture of the animal that they talk about. You also see the whole name of what it says. And all I could see was cured. I looked it up later, and actually it's cures in nature, but all I could see was cured ... And the little image, the thumbnail, was, I couldn't tell what it was. I didn't think anything of it. I don't even know why I clicked on it. Why did I click on it? But I clicked on it, and the first thing that they were talking about was eucalyptus. They even pulled out a bottle of eucalyptus from their backpack of essential oil. I had never seen a wildcrats pull out a eucalyptus essential oil from their backpack. Anyway, they did. And so I just was like, I was holding on to that piece of information, and I was just like, this is weird, praying about it, talking to God about it, thinking to myself, like, why cured? Why? I investigated everything about leukodystrophy afterwards because they told me what they told me, and I was just like downtrodden, but I had this shred of hope for her. So the big thing that helped was taking out gluten from her diet. And I have a theory on gluten in general. I believe that it's a mold in your body that creates an enzyme when it sees gluten. It says, hey, make that enzyme that can digest gluten, because we don't digest gluten. Make that enzyme that digests gluten, and it is toxic to us. So it can spark a reaction to create an enzyme altogether. And that's why I believe that some people, the longer they go with a gluten intolerance, the more gluten intolerant they become, and the worse their symptoms are with it, unless their body is fighting that fungus inside them and eradicating it, because then they could like get over their gluten allergy. I don't want to test that on Nayeli anytime soon. It's her brain we're talking about, so I'm just keeping her on a gluten-free diet. There's multiple reasons why I don't like gluten, because of the bromine and just the fungusy crop that it is, and the insulin factors and the non-nutrition factors. It's just not a very nutrient-dense crop. So I try to lean more on, you know, just fruits, vegetables, meats. So, but I love rice, and we don't just eat. We don't do grain-free. Anyhow, so eucalyptus, she would get a rash on her face every night. It's like we couldn't figure out what exactly the rash was from, but every night she would wake up, her rash would be almost gone, and then she would start to get a rash on her face. As the day progressed, it would get worse. I had bought in faith some eucalyptus tea leaf, and all over the internet it says toxic, 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 toxic children. And I was scared to use it. I thought, well, do I make a tea with it? Or I was like, God, you're going to have to show me how to use this. And I was desperate. And I was like, man, she gets itchy sometimes, and she gets this rash on her face, and there's no food specifically that we could link it to. So I gave her a Epsom salt bath with eucalyptus essential oil one night, because I was just like, I'm going to give her eucalyptus tea leaf orally. I'm going to do it. God help me. So I took that little tea leaf, not the essential oil, the tea leaf, and I gave her about a quarter size little bit of it orally with some maple syrup. And she downed it, and she had that essential oil bath, but we've done that essential oil bath before and it didn't have an effect. But it's like something changed when she got that eucalyptus tea leaf. And her digestion, I have no idea. Her rash, 90% of it went away in 15 minutes. Now, it could have been the fact that eucalyptus is a immunomodulator. So it helps your immune system level itself. It helps the immune system, and it also helps it chill too. What was it? I have no idea. But another time, when and this was after she had healed a while, and the trepidation was always like, well, how much has she healed? Has she really healed, or is it just on the tip or cusp? If she got more gluten, would she have the reaction the same and as fast? And one day we were camping, and I think she got into some graham crackers or something in the area. I don't know if they were like spraying some chemical or something there on the grass. I have no idea. But she was acting a little off, and I was talking to my sister, and my sister even said, you know, do you think that you overreact a little bit sometimes, like with your thoughts about her? Like, are you more sensitive to it all? I'm like, yeah, probably, because it's traumatic. But then she was trying to walk, and she was old enough, like this was like several months after she had healed so much. And she was trying to walk, and she said, Mommy, I can't walk. She stood up, and she was trying to walk towards me. She said, I can't walk. And she couldn't. And I was like, oh, God help me. I took her, and I rushed her to our house. I was rushing her to our house, because I was like, I'm going to take her home. I'm going to give her eucalyptus. And Derek met me on the road halfway, and we gave her some eucalyptus with maple syrup. And I took her home. She was tired. I took her home. I was putting her down to bed. It was about time for going to sleep. And usually there wasn't like some big snap back. There was a progressive, like slow healing. But she woke up a half an hour later and she was like able to walk, and she was fine. And I was like, okay, child, you're supposed to go to sleep now though. But I was praising God, and I'm just like, I don't know what eucalyptus does specifically, but I know that it affected her in a good way. Now, it's interesting that eucalyptus, I'll make this shorter because some people are probably just like, okay, I've kind of heard this story before. Eucalyptus is preventative of viral infections. You know, it's antifungal, antimicrobial. It is therapeutic when something is happening, like you have cough, snot, all that stuff. It helps open up and kill those pathogens, and also probably suppresses the toxin reaction that they're causing too, because it helps suppress the toxin production of fungus. Also, it is immunomodulating, so it can help your immune system kind of calm down. But be smart. So those are some things to think about. Other plants can do it too, but eucalyptus has certainly got a warm spot in my heart, certainly. So I'll leave you guys with that today. That's pretty long. Thanks for watching. This is Elizabeth Quam. See you later.